Hello, and welcome to the Appleton North Activities Code of Conduct presentation for the 2023-2024 school year. After watching today's video, you'll need to complete the form saying that you have watched it and that you agree to abide by all of the Code of Conduct expectations set therein. My name is Jere Kubuske. I'm the new Activities Director here at Appleton North. This is my 18th year in education. I've been lucky enough to be at 7 different schools in 4 different states during my time. I've coached 3 different sports and won 4 state championships in football and 1 state runner-up in baseball. I have 3 amazing kids and 1 amazing spouse who just happens to be the head softball coach at the University of Wisconsin-Green Bay. You can see my contact information listed there below. Please feel free to reach out anytime. The purpose of today's video is to provide information about the activities for the 23-24 school year, to set expectations, and also to provide guidance about our expectations so that way there are no misconceptions, misunderstandings, questions get answered, and to allow for working through any conflicts that may arise. You can see the philosophy of our co-curricular activities here at Appleton North. We do believe that they are a privilege, not a right, and that all participants in those activities are going to abide by the rules outlined in the Code of Conduct. The Code of Conduct is meant to be a tool to help students live and make healthier choices and live a healthier life. North students are held to a very high academic and behavioral standard, and so this Code of Conduct can help them reach that. Multi-sport participation and multi-activity participation is always encouraged because we feel that students gain something from every sport or activity that they get involved in. Again, it's all about the lessons you learn and the relationships that you make. The goals of our co-curricular activities, you can see, are set out here in the Code of Conduct. We want to develop leadership skills and promote goal setting and work ethic. We want to teach attitudes of responsibility and cooperation. We want to learn and develop good habits of health and safety. We want to provide connectedness to the school and build school spirit. We want to provide activities for self-discipline, loyalty, team play, etc. Provide students with opportunities for competition in an area of interest or skill, and as a chance to work as a team, class, or unit. We have 4 different categories of activities here at Appleton North. Category 1 would be athletics or competition-based activities, which you can see examples listed there. Category 2 would be any leadership or public recognition activities. These might be things that students are selected for because of their accomplishments. The Code of Conduct applies year-round to Category 1 and Category 2 activities, regardless of it being off-season or summer. Category 3 and 4 activities would be music or other classes where students are performing for a grade, maybe in public even, or Category 4 would be intramurals and interest clubs. In those situations, classroom rules or advisory rules apply. The forms for activities can be found in the main office or online. The forms required for participation include a physical or an alternate year form with a physician's signature. This must be on file before tryouts begin. We also need a WIAA eligibility form, a Code of Conduct form, a permit and liability form, as well as concussion and sudden cardiac arrest agreement and consent to treat agreement. All these things can be turned in before competition begins. There is a $50 participation fee. It's capped at $200 per high school family, or if you have students in high school and middle school, it's capped at $250. If there's ever a hardship, please contact the athletic director's office, or activities director's office, because the money used for that helps us to pay for transportation, officials, etc. Academic eligibility, you have to be a full-time student and you can have 0 failing grades. There will be 2 times that grades are checked throughout the school year, 4 times, but 2 different types of checks. There was the quarter check. If you have an F at the quarter check, you have a 10-day grace period to try to get that grade up. Or a semester grade check. If you have a failing grade at the end of a semester, you have a 15-day ineligible period. After that time, if you have no failing grades, you become eligible again. Attendance, this happens to be our number 1 issue that impacts eligibility. Students that are in co-curricular activities are expected to be at school all day. Obviously, there are some exceptions. You can see them listed here. The most important one that I'd like to highlight is documented medical, dental, and orthodontist appointments. we would ask that that documentation be provided to us upon returning. We would like to know, obviously, when you're leaving and why you're leaving, but also when you return, that we have that slip from the doctor's office or dentist's office saying that you were with them and were treated by them. If that documentation happens to be forgotten on the way back to school, you can always ask for that office to fax that information or email that information back over to our attendance office. If you ever have questions about attendance and eligibility, please contact the attendance office. You cannot participate on the day of unexcused absence, which is why that documentation is so important. And the attendance office needs to be contacted before 9 a.m. about any attendance-related issues that happen to be taking place that morning impacting first-hour classes. You can also contact the Student Assistance Program if there's any personal issues that are preventing regular attendance. Code violations. The code violations, we have type 1, 2, and 3. They're listed in the code documentation that you can find in our Code of Conduct. Violations are categorized by the severity and the offense, and also carry different consequences based on that severity and also the participation of the offender. There are community service hours that could be available to the student athlete or student in the activity to try to reduce the suspension. The AD's office is required to investigate all accusations. It is not my goal or ambition to try to get you in trouble, but I have to do my due diligence to make sure that you are following that code of conduct. You can check in the Code of Conduct's appendices, Appendix A and Appendix B, for information about code violations and durations and types of consequences. Any violation triggered by the drug and alcohol use policy will include an AODA assessment with the Appleton North Student Assistance Program Coordinator. You can see those appendix that I mentioned earlier shown here. Communication between students and coach, and as well as parents and coach. It is always in our best interest to have students be the one addressing the coach one-on-one and in person. It's a great opportunity to build skills about communication that we're trying to teach them during their time with us. If after a student speaks with their coach or advisor about an issue and allowing enough time for that issue to be addressed, a parent or guardian still feels the concern needs to be addressed and that they need to be involved, the following procedure would be that the parent and guardian would set up an in-person meeting with the coach and advisor. Please don't do it through email or text messaging because so much can get lost in translation that way. Please do not confront a coach or advisor immediately prior to an event, during, or after a practice game or event. And I apologize for the spelling error there. Playing time, tactical decision-making, and discussing any student-athlete other than your own is never going to be a part of those discussions. I would highly suggest if a student is concerned about playing time that they be the one having that conversation with their coach. They'll gain so much information from that, and the coach will gain a lot from that as well. If after the parent and guardian speaks with their coach or advisor and after allowing adequate time for that coach and advisor to address the concern, the parent or guardian still feels, or the student for that matter, that the issue still is persistent, then that's when you would contact me and the Activities Director's office. At that time, I will be asking you questions about the previous communication, when those occurred, the outcomes of those, etc. A couple of miscellaneous things to point out. Students are responsible for their own equipment and could be charged for anything that's lost or damaged. Please check with your coach or advisor about any travel that may be taking place and what the expectations for travel are. If you have questions about awards, please contact our office as well. Social media, more often than not, could be more trouble than it's worth, but it can be a great tool, especially for those looking to take their talents and go on to the next level in collegiate athletics or activities. Remember, anything that you post becomes public knowledge, and things can be saved whether you delete them or not. That public information then can be dangerous because it can lead to code of conduct investigations. It can be a threat to recruitment. I know this from my time coaching high school sports, but also being a college coach. And there could be legal consequences as well. So please think before you post. Sportsmanship behind safety is our number one priority. Competition is expected to bring out the best in you and not the worst. You need to appreciate the opponents that are pushing you to be a better version of yourself or pushing your team to higher levels of competition. Please treat all opposing players, coaches, and fans with the respect that they deserve and the respect that you would expect back from them. Officials, keep in mind that officials are doing their best with the information that they have in a split-second moment. Please respect the fact that they may do a very important job, and without them, we would not be able to have our competitions. If school is canceled due to inclement weather, there'll be no practices or events on that day. If inclement weather is in the forecast, the athletic directors between schools will communicate, and we will do our best to try to still have each event take place, which is why we may have to wait until the last minute to make a call. But we will always try to provide as much far out notice as we can. But it's always our goal to make sure that our students get an opportunity to participate. If there's lightning or severe weather, and by lightning I mean the actual kind and not our student athletes or coaches or teams, we have to take a 30-minute suspension. After that 30 minutes, we can go back to playing. During that suspension, the bleachers need to be cleared and teams need to retreat to either a locker room or a team bus or some other shelter. Each time there's a lightning strike, that 30-minute clock resets. For non-WIAA events, adult passes are $5, students are $2 to that event. New for this year, North students with a valid North ID can get into North home events. Senior citizens and kids under 5 are free. Any kid over 5 is considered a student. WIAA sporting events, so these would be postseason events, are at different charge, and everyone is charged for those events. Theatrical performances and Pravity will have their own set of fees based on their events, which will be posted at or before those events. Season passes are good for regular season home games for the sport purchased, or if you purchase an all-season pass for all home contests during that school year. Passes can usually be purchased at the first few events of a season. I'd like to take a second to show my appreciation to the Appleton North Booster Club for all that they've done for Appleton North athletics in the last 3 years. They've contributed over $2 million to successfully improving upgrades and facilities here at Appleton North. They're a great resource, and for those of you looking to get involved or to be a supporter of Appleton North activities, this is a great way to do so. There's always opportunities to join, whether it be just as a member or maybe even into one of the vacant spaces on their board. So thank you so much for your time. I wish you the best of luck. If you have questions, please make sure you get in contact, and go Lightning.